Do you guys say Merry Ramadan? If yes, then Merry Ramadan. Actually, the more accurate greeting would be Ramadan Kareem or Ramadan Mubarak, but Happy Ramadan would do just fine, thanks. Hello and welcome to our second year of Ramadan Q&A on the TVC channel. Honestly, I didn't think I'd live this long. Anyway, I got a bunch of light and fluffy questions this year, which is good because my heart is still recovering from last year, and we're just gonna sit back and answer some questions. It's gonna be really chill, it's gonna be really relaxed, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, first up, we have a question from Ufuk Jahi. Jakisi, sorry if I mispronounced that. It's been a while since I've read/spoken the Turkish language. They asked, will you miss lunches? Well, not necessarily lunches, maybe breakfast, but I have severe chronic ulcer and it really messes up with my eating. If you follow me on Twitter, you see me tweet about this all the time. And when I wake up, I get very hungry, but sometimes I don't even eat breakfast, or I don't eat a well enough balanced breakfast. So sometimes I need to eat lunch, and if I eat a good enough breakfast, I don't need lunch, and sometimes that stretches out all the way to dinner. So there's not really a meal slot that I would miss, because if I do sahur, which is eating in the morning, if I do a very good enough meal at that time, I don't need to eat for the rest of the day sometimes. So Ramadan was really a holiday, really a time of year meant for me specifically. But because of my ulcer, sometimes I can get an ulcer attack while I'm fasting, and that's really not good. Okay, next up, the milkshake hour asked, my question is, why do some Muslims wear hoods? Okay, I think what you're asking is hijabs, that thing you see women wear that covers their whole head. Sometimes it covers their face. Sometimes you see men wear it as well. So you ask why we wear it. So I could give you the whole Islamic professional meaning, but basically at the end of the day, it's women wear it to, how can I say this, hide their beauty, or I can't think of the word right now, but it's basically keeping yourself sacred. Like, you cover your hair because it's part of your femininity. It's something a lot of people say women do it so they can show it to their husbands, but it's basically just to cover yourself, conceal yourself in public, not to show too much of what makes you a woman, I guess, not to seduce people in public. It's kind of like it goes both ways, but a lot of women wear covering their hair. It's just them covering themselves. A lot of people find it empowering. A lot of women don't like having that sex appeal out there, so they cover their hair to moderate that. But it's also weird because in other places, women covering their hair is looked upon as appealing and sexy. So I have no idea how this thing goes on in some people's head, but basically women wear hijabs, or as you like to think of it, hoods, to cover themselves from wandering eyes of men, just to not attract attention and not to ooze out sex appeal, because hairs are sexy, I guess. Chains of Girls asked, how is Ramadan celebrated or performed? Is it more like a ceremony of a festival? Well, it's not really a festival, it's more of an event, because festivals last a day, at most a week, but this one is a whole month. You're asking how it's celebrated. You're thinking of Salah, and Salah comes after Ramadan. Ramadan is a 29 to 30 day period where we fast. That means we don't eat throughout the day, and in the evening we break our fast. It's just a holy month for us to reflect on a year, be grateful, be thankful. So yeah, it's more of a festival. But at the end of Ramadan is Salah, and that is more it's more of an event. Sorry, I mixed up the last part. But at the end of Ramadan, that is when we have a festival. That's when we have a day of celebration, which is Salah. The Wise Group Gaming raised the question, am I Sunni or Shia? So I had to ask my mom this question because apparently it's a heavily polarizing topic among Muslims, and she even corrected me saying it's not Sunni, it's Sunni, and she's saying Shia is not even a branch of Islam. It's basically like a revolution. She just sees them as like a terrorist group or whatever, and she's like, nobody wants to be associated with Shia. So if they act, so she was telling me, if anyone asks me, just say you're Sunni. And I was telling her because a couple years ago, I don't know if it was her or someone else, told me that isn't it better if someone asks you which one you are, they said, okay, don't say I'm one or the other, just say you're a Muslim, because that's basically it. Muslims, we don't like to be divided. And she was like, yeah, that's even better, because once you start saying I'm this or I'm that, you're trying to put yourself in a subversion of something bigger, because at the end of the day we are just Muslims, but we are not Shia. I need to really clarify that I am not Shia. So if you want to put me in a box, put me in Sunni, but I don't feel like I'm in any box. I'm just a Muslim. That's just it. Elise Iris asked a very lovely question, asking that, can I teach you guys the true meaning of the holiday? Which kind of reminds me like the true meaning of Christmas, you know. But the true meaning of Ramadan basically is, it's a month of being grateful and reflecting and being like appreciative of what you have, because for that time that you fast and you're unable to eat, it really helps you sit down and think and be grateful for what you have, because some people don't have food, some people don't have access to water, some people are living this sort of life every day. So for you to experience that, it encourages you to help the poor, to think about the poor, to help better your community and think of people less fortunate than you. And also it's kind of like, some people think fasting is a cleansing because some people partake in toxic activities, smoking, drinking, eating unhealthy foods. So during that period of fasting, you're kind of like cleansing your body, you're getting healthier, removing all that toxin. And for some people like me, in my own head, fasting actually, you don't know how much free time you have when you remove eating from the equation, really. So you get more done, and it's just a month that just helps you be more productive. It helps you reflect as a human being on yourself, on your goals, and on your life. And I guess that's just really the true meaning of Ramadan, to think of others and be grateful for what you have and try and help those less fortunate than you. Ghost Fox wanted to know how we Muslims know when Ramadan is, because in the announcement video I mentioned something about the moon. So Ghost Fox, the thing is, us Muslims, we run on a lunar calendar, which is the moon. So whenever, the reason why Ramadan is not on a set day like Christmas and Easter is because, as you know, the lunar calendar changes, how the moon appears and disappears, like it's not always set, it's not like structured. So Ramadan doesn't start till after maybe, let's say, 5 lunar moons or whatever. So every year you see Ramadan creeping forward and forward. Like this year it might be in August, next year it might be in July, then June. That's how it is. So we do not start fasting until we see the moon, and we do not stop fasting till we see the next moon. That's why sometimes Ramadan lasts for 30 days, other times it lasts for 29 days. And lastly, to round out our video with a question from a fellow Muslim, Zachary Khan, who also wondered why we Muslims don't eat pork. Now, this was very, very interesting to me, because even once I read this thing, I was like, why don't we eat pork? Like, I know why, but I've never gotten a definitive from a written source or a trusted source. It's always just people telling me why. And when they mentioned how their parents don't tell them why, because a lot of people just know Muslims don't eat pork, but a lot of people don't really know why. And a lot of Muslims, I think, like finding loopholes, saying they eat pork flavor. Like somebody says, is it allowed for Muslims to eat pork flavored chips when there's no pork in them? And I was like, that is the real question. But that's not it. If anyone can give me their thoughts on that, that's okay. But basically, some people say it's not allowed because it's pork flavor. Some people say there's no pork in it, but it's still flavored. So I'm getting sidetracked. So to answer your question, I actually went online so I could get a more definitive answer than just give you my own random thoughts. So what I basically saw, let me read this for you here. in the Quran it says, forbidden to you for food are dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and that on which has been invoked the name of other than Allah. And then the site also referenced I think a piece of text from the Bible, Leviticus, and the swine and be cloven footed, yet they cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch, they are unclean to you. And the same thing in the book of Deuteronomy, I think that's Jewish. Forgive me if I'm wrong, I've said this before, I've never met a Jewish person in my life, but what they had to say also was almost word for word what was said in the Bible. And the swine, because it divideth the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you, ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. So what this side is basically trying to say is that because Islam came after both Moses and Jesus, like Jews and Christians, a lot of the things that are taught are regurgitated, I guess, because at the end of the day we both serve the same God, because each prophet came at a different time and what God revealed to them was different, but it's still the same God that we all serve. That's why I'm so surprised when I see people fighting for religion. Like back in college, one of my closest friends was a Catholic Christian, like soaked deep in some Jesus, but we found a lot of common ground because at the end of the day we understood that yeah, we are the same, we worship the same God, but just differently. But back to this point, the reason basically why we don't eat pig is because it's disgusting. Yeah, it has a lot of things that could kill a human being, diseases. And I remember when I was a kid, what I was told was that if you take a piece of pork flesh and you squeeze lime over it, the amount of worms you see come out is really bad. And when I just saw that, just like as a 7-year-old or I think 6-year-old, that thing scarred me for life. And I never ever like even when I'm watching cooking shows and I see them cook pork, I actually feel disgusted. Like I can watch it, but I never want to eat it, because a lot of Muslims don't really feel like they're missing out on anything, because we cannot miss out on something we've never tasted or tried. And there is a lot of meat in the world, so why should we be sad that we can't eat this one thing that, let's be honest, is bad for you? I know you can argue, well, all the other meats are bad for you, but I think pig is especially bad. I remember a comedy show by what's this person's name, Eddie Griffin. He also said it, he was making a joke about it, how yeah, back in the day a piece of pork could kill you, but nowadays we have refrigerated, we have so many methods that the pork goes through that it can't kill you. And I'm like, well, for the fact that back then it could kill us is a good thing that we had someone watching over us and told us not to eat it. Because I'm just the idea of eating pork just gets under my skin, because just reading this site is telling me things like it exposes humans to hemlins, that there's pork tapeworms, there's swine flu. Oh my god. Well, there was also bird flu. But anyway, that's all the questions we have. I'm just rambling. I know this video seems like I didn't answer a lot of questions, but those were the only ones I got. And if I did not answer your questions, I'm so sorry, but they were not Ramadan related or Muslim or anything. They were more normal questions you'd ask me in a Q&A, which also I'm doing a Q&A for 10k. I told you I decided to do 3 things: singing, reading a fan fiction, and Q&A. So if I did not answer your question that is not Ramadan, Muslim, or Islam related, you can ask that question on a community post I'm going to post a little bit later after uploading this video. So just move your questions onto there and I'll try my best to answer that. But with that being said, my dear sweet lovely verses, this video is brought to a close. If anybody new has watched this, or if there's any other things you're still not cleared up on, ask those questions in this comment section below and I'll answer that towards next week's Ramadan Q&A. But yeah, this one was really fun. I really liked it. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you guys so much for clicking to watch. I love you guys so much, and have a blessed day, month, and Ramadan season. I love you guys, and yeah, that's all. This is TVC, signing out.